Hello again. The purpose of this training segment is to help the technician to better understand the processes and techniques involved for securing the cables for the AirScale system. The contents of this segment will give the technicians with the necessary information required for securing different types of cables such as power, ground, fiber and Ethernet cables. At the completion of this training segment, technicians will be able to properly form cables, know the correct securing methods known as sewing, and how and when to protect cables used for the AirScale system. Here is Rod to talk about each of those tasks.
Hi there. Now that you have learned some of the ways to be safe while on the job site, and mounting the equipment and running the cables for the AirScale system, now it's time to learn how to secure those cables and to properly form them in as well. 9-ply waxed polyester twine shall be used for sewing and banding of cables. 2 strands of twine shall be used for sewing all cable on vertical and horizontal cable runs. A Kansas City stitch or a Chicago stitch are the only 2 approved methods for securing power cables. Kansas City stitch is used when cables are sewn directly to the cable racks, brackets or supports. The required tools are 9-ply wax cord, lacing needle, scissors or snips and sheet fiber paper. In the video, the technician is demonstrating the techniques on how to sew cables with a Kansas City stitch. This video does not demonstrate how and when to use cable protection. Begin with a starter stitch. Using lacing needle, pull string between the existing cables. The string should go under cable rack rung and then back up on other side. Go over top of first string then loop through. Pull string tight. This will bring the knot in place to start a new stitch for other cables. The technician will now complete stitching the remaining cables. Complete the Kansas City stitch with a finishing knot. A Chicago stitch is used when cables are being added to existing cables and cannot be secured to the cable rack, brackets or supports. The required tools are 9-ply wax cord, lacing needle, scissors or snips. Note: sheet fiber protection is not required, as you are not securing any cables to metal rungs or brackets. In the video, the technician is demonstrating the techniques on how to sew cables with the Chicago stitch. Start with a band stitch. Knot should be between the cables. Pull the right string down through cables then under the existing string, then bring the right string back up. perform the same technique with the left side of the string. At this point you can make a square knot or just twist the string as the technician has done here. Next, take the right string and go over next set of cables. Pull string down through cables, then under the existing string, bring the right string back up. Do the same for the left side string. Complete the Chicago stitch with a square knot. Cut off excess string. Cables should be secured at every strap of the cable rack, or between every strap if existing cables are already in place. This is because of short run lengths in most cell sites. Cables should also be secured when breaking off the side of cable rack. Tech tip: the most common method is to start the securing at the AirScale equipment end and work towards the other end, such as the power bay in the case of power cables. By doing so this way, will allow slack to be pulled if necessary for bends and corners. In the photo below, the arrows illustrate where to begin your securing of the cables and then working your way towards the power bay. Cables being secured directly to the cable rack rung, brackets or supports, must be protected from the metal by applying sheet fiber paper to those areas. Cables should also be protected when breaking off the side of cable rack or brackets. In the video, the technician is demonstrating how to apply sheet fiber paper to the cable rack rung. Start with a band stitch around the cable rack rung. This will help hold the paper in place until the cables are sewn to the cable rack. Wrap 2 layers of sheet fiber paper around the rung. Secure paper by tightening down the string. When securing cables around corners or making turns, the power cables should maintain a bending radius of 12 times the diameter of the cable. Ground cables will follow the same securing techniques as the power cables with some differences. Those differences are: ground cable must not be secured with any other type cables. The minimum bend radius for grounds is 1 foot regardless of the diameter of the ground cable. When securing cables at the equipment end, the cables should form down the side of the frame. Every frame cable bracket should be used for securing the cables. Tech tip: when securing the cables at the equipment end, it's sometimes easier to temporarily band the cables to get a preliminary form started if needed. In the video, the technician is securing the cable to the equipment frame brackets. The technician is securing the power cables coming from the FSM4 and the SMM to the frame's cable brackets. The stitch used for securing these cables is a Kansas City stitch. Note that the brackets were already wrapped with sheet fiber paper to protect the cables from coming in contact with the metal. Fiber cables, especially fiber jumpers, are very delicate, and with minimal effort can be easily damaged. The technician should take care when securing the fiber cable to frame brackets or Type R. Due to the potential for damaging the cable insulation, as well as the fiber itself, the technician should apply fiber paper directly around the cable at any point where it comes in contact with metal. Velcro straps are the only method to be used to secure the exposed individual fiber leads at the AirScale unit. The use of twine is strictly prohibited with most customers. Fiber cables must never be bent, but should maintain a lazy curve in the turns. The inside bending radius should be 10 times the diameter of the cable. For Ethernet, FYGM, alarm or any other soft insulation type cables used for the AirScale equipment will be banded together along the cable Type R. Follow the same rules when protection is required. If the cables come in contact with sharp metal edges, then the cable will need to be protected with 2 layers of sheet fiber paper. The technician should band the cables together every 2 to 4 inches along the cable Type R. When securing the cables with wax cord, the cables should be snugged in place, but take caution that securing too tightly could deform or damage cable insulation. In the photo below, the wax cord has the potential to deform the soft insulation of the cable and in time could possibly cut through. That concludes the cable securing segment of this training program. We certainly hope that you now have a better understanding of the processes and techniques to properly secure the cables within the AirScale system. In the next segment, we will be discussing the proper methods to making cable connections. Thank you for watching.